Hey gang, thanks for showing up. I know that the only person that this event is technically optional for is me, but I appreciate you carving time out of your schedule on a Friday afternoon to sit down and listen to me for a little bit. I promise you I'll be as brief as possible. It's a Friday afternoon. I know that I am probably the last thing standing in between you and either Friday afternoon festivities or hopefully going home and starting your weekend. Well, what I really wanted to do fairly briefly is just get as many of you in here as possible, look you all in the eyeballs, introduce myself, and lay some things out on the table that I think are important as we move forward as an organization. It won't be a full-up hour-and-a-half commander's call where I go through 100 slides. I've only got 50. So with that, let's go to the next slide. Okay, so a little bit about myself so you all know where I'm coming from and what's important to me from a family standpoint. This is my immediate family. For those of you that were at the change of command, you probably saw them either before or afterwards. I'm very proud of them. On the far right is my brother Dave. He's a West Point grad, retired from the Army in 2011. He was an Apache Longbow pilot. He's one of my two older brothers. The other one couldn't make it, but other than that, this is my entire immediate family. The short little lady on the right, that's my mom, Nancy. Standing behind her trying to get masks from having her picture taken is my Aunt Alice. They are actually sisters. You would not be able to tell that by just looking at them, but Mother Nature is a weird scientist, and I was raised by both of those two, along with my other siblings. The gal in the middle is my sister, my younger sister, Michael Alice, and then obviously to the left there's me, my wife Amanda, and our two little kids. The daughter is Madeline, she's 8, and the son is PJ, he's about to turn 6. My daughter is into all things girl, so she's a traditional 8-year-old with a total attitude, but I love her to death. And our son PJ, boy, that kid loves hockey. So when the Minnesota Wild got eliminated in round 1, he actually cried. I saw a tear coming down his face. But now I think he's cheering for the Penguins for the rest of the series. So, and then my wife Amanda, she's an academy graduate like me. She was a separated maintenance officer, so she was an assistant AMU OIC, and then she worked in the back shop, and then she was the OIC of QA as well. So I learned how to speak maintenance from her, and you can imagine the discussions at the dinner table that we have had over the years as I get quizzed on metrics that I still don't thoroughly understand. Okay, so these are the people that I hold the most dear in my life. Second to them are you. Okay, I'll say that right up front. Next slide. Okay, these should not look, these should not be a surprise to you. They should not look different, all right? I didn't change them from what Colonel Pilch had. So these should look very familiar to you all. But I just want to run through them real quick to make sure that we're all moving in the same direction, and I'll talk about a couple of fill-ins along the way. The mission. This is what should get us out of our beds in the morning and get us to work. And hopefully you all are as motivated as I am to do that. There isn't another mission in this Air Force that I would rather be executing right now, and there's not another group of people that I would rather be executing it with. We train and graduate outstanding professionals, period, dot. And nobody does it better than us. The graduates that come out of this organization go out to the combat air forces, and they're going to do great things because they were trained by us. The vision. Our Chief of Staff, General Goldfein, is very fond of the term, it's a journey, not a destination. And that's kind of the way I see our vision. We're not going to get to the point where we're done doing what we're doing. We're not going to graduate our last pilot, our last ABMer, our last Intel professional, and be able to slap the table and say, well, we did it, we're done, time to go on to something else. This is a journey that will evolve over time, and to be honest with you, there is no end in sight, and I think that that's a good thing. Okay, so that's the journey that we're on. We're all on it together. We build the world's best communities, whether it be F-35, air battle managers, or Intel professionals. And here's a bit of trivia for you. How many Air Battle Manager schools are there in the Air Force? 1. How many U.S.-only F-35 FTUs are there in the Air Force? 1. How many Special Operation Forces FTU intelligence schools are there in the Air Force? 1. How many Lightning top-off courses are there in the Air Force? 1. How many F-35 Intel FTUs are there in the Air Force? 1. So you see where I'm going with this, right? Everything that we are doing as Nomads, we are one deep. We have no backup. There is nobody else that can pick up our mission and do it for us. So what we're doing is serious business. And it's making an impact now, and it's going to have an impact for decades to come in all of those different communities. So what y'all are doing every day, day in and day out, in whatever capacity you are executing your duties inside of the 33rd Fighter Wing, it's making a huge difference, all right? Whether you're a pilot, whether you're a maintainer, whether you're an air battle manager, whether you're filling some other type of support function, we're one deep, gang. So we got to get it right, and as far as I've seen thus far, we are getting it right, okay? Priorities. These are my priorities. So hopefully you will take that as being your priorities as well, which is why I'm going to explain each one of them a little bit so they're clear to you. Professionalism. That is the absolute. That is at the absolute core of what we do day in and day out. We are in the profession of arms, right? It's not a job of arms. It's not an employment of arms. It's a profession of arms. We cannot train and graduate outstanding professionals unless we set the standard for professionalism. Okay, so keep that in mind. Commitment. I assumed from day one of taking over that you all are committed to the mission and the vision of the 33rd, and I haven't seen anything that would lead me to believe otherwise. So thank you for that, and I encourage you to stay committed to what we're doing. I need you. I need you. Loyalty. Loyalty is a big deal to me. I need you to be loyal to your unit, loyal to your service, and probably most importantly, loyal to each other. All right? Execute the mission and always have each other's backs. Because you might have families at home, but when you're in here at work, the Nomads are your family. So we need to be loyal to each other. And I'm not talking loyalty to a fault. There is such a thing. You all are smart, grown-up adults. You know where that line is. All right? But be loyal to each other. And I'll give you a good example of loyalty. Where's Airman Albrecht? How's your knee? Not too bad? Okay. Can you make it up here? All right. Front and center. Who knows Airman Albrecht's story about what happened last year? A few of you? Okay. So, there you go. Right in the middle. Right in the middle. Okay, so Airman Albrecht, you live in Fort Walton Beach, right? Yes, sir. Okay. So he's either on his way. I'll take a few creative liberties as I tell the story. Okay. He's on his way home from work, going to his apartment complex, and he hears in another apartment complex, who I'm guessing he had no idea who lived there, somebody screaming for help. Not just somebody that had the TV turned up and was watching a violent movie or something, but somebody was screaming for help. So instead of just going to his apartment and letting himself in and closing the door and acting like there wasn't a problem, he decided to turn into it and go see what the heck was going on. So he goes to the door of this apartment, and was it locked? Yes, sir. Okay, so you have to beat it in. So did you kick it? Pushed it. So imagine the scenario, okay? He's at the door of an apartment where there's some screaming going on. Somebody needs help. The door is locked. There's his second opportunity to turn around and go back into his apartment and say, I did my due diligence, not my problem. He decides to push it in. You're a big kid, so it probably wasn't too tough for you. I probably would not have been able to do that. So he opens the door, and there's a woman in there with 4 kids? 4 kids, all right? And there's an assailant in there with a knife, apparently threatening this woman and her 4 kids who were in grave danger, I would assume. So Albrecht, instead of once again now having his 3rd opportunity to justifiably get out of there because there's a guy with a knife getting ready to hurt people, and you know, that's not something that the normal American would say, yeah, I need to figure this one out. But he did. He stuck around. He found a way to talk that guy down a little bit, get him to go from the red line to the yellow line, and got him to drop his knife, and got him out of the apartment. Stuck around until the lady that was in there with her kids could close the door and lock it again, and then hung out until the police showed up. So think of that as an example of loyalty to somebody that he didn't even know. And oh, by the way, he kind of put himself in harm's way. So if you want to look at a guy as an example that will have your back and be loyal to you, you're his Nomad family, and he did that for somebody he didn't even know. So, thanks. I know that was a while ago, but sometimes when we submit submissions for awards, it takes a while to get them back. So, Airman Albrecht is the recipient of the AETC Level USO Service Member of the Year Award. You got a signed certificate from Major General Brown, the Vice, and also Chief Staten, and there's one in there from me as well, and a certificate suitable for framing. Well done, man. We're proud of you.
Thank you, sir.
I think you should probably get a two-day pass for that, too. Just, you know, recommendation. Okay, so we talked about loyalty, clearly. Execute with excellence, all right? It's easier than it sounds. I get it. But that's what we do as Nomads. We execute with excellence. We don't get up in the morning and come into work saying, you know what, I think I'm going to have an average day. I'm going to show up, I'm going to do average work, and then I'm going to leave, and I'm going to do the same thing tomorrow. That's not what we do, all right? We get up, we show up, we do our job, and we try and do it better than everybody else every single day for the reasons I already talked about. Inclusiveness. I mentioned already, we're a family, all right? Treat each other with dignity, respect, and make everybody feel that they belong here. If you don't feel like you belong here in the 33rd, or you don't want to be here, I need to know about it, personally. Okay? Personally. And then the last one is balance. It's the work-life balance. Okay? What we do is important, but the other reality is also that we are in a peacetime training environment. We're not in the AOR flying combat sorties, executing combat missions. We're in AETC, right? We're doing important work, but we're a peacetime training environment, okay? So there is an opportunity to have a balance between your work and your home. How many people have families? I don't see everybody's hand. How many people have families? Everybody's got a family, all right? I talked about that. We're a family. If you have families that are here, you have spouses, you have kids, don't let your work get in the way of you and your family, okay? Supervisors, commanders, leaders, don't get in the way of your people and their families, okay? It's important. Who's heard that old saying, run out of career before you run out of family? Nobody's heard that before besides me? Boy, I'm old. All right, Chief, thank you for the backup. Marbles, you could have just raised your hand. So that one's been used for a while. I've heard that for probably 10 years. I've used it in a few commander's calls when I was a squadron commander, run out a career before you run out a family. It's true, it's completely valid. That saying is actually coined by a 30-year retired Army colonel, because I read the article about 15 years ago when somebody clipped it out of the Colorado Springs Gazette and mailed it to me. And this guy, after 30 years in the Army, I think he was either infantry or artillery, he reflected back on everything he'd done in his career, and he came to the conclusion that none of it was worth the price that he paid with regards to his family. His wife didn't like him, his kids didn't know him, and he was set up for failure for whatever life he planned to lead after the Army. And he was very honest about it, about the regrets that he had throughout his career, the meetings that he prioritized over spending time with his kids, the 16-hour days that he put in with decidedly probably impact inside of his unit or his organization, but all along the way he was paying a slow price with his family, and he looked back at his 30-year career with nothing but regret. Okay, I beg you to not let that happen to you. Okay? I've had discussions with my wife, and we're at the point now. I'm 20. What year is it? 2017. I'm almost 22 in. But the day that my wife Amanda taps me on the shoulder and says, "I'm done," then that'll be my last assignment. Okay? Every family's different. Okay? But you need to have conversations with your family and figure out where you are, and figure out a way to make it work. If you can't figure out a way to make it work, then ask for help. Okay? We'll get you help, but make the smart decision. Okay? Work-life balance is very important to me. Okay, so funny story, and then we'll get to the last slide. I've been here for a month in the seat. I was here in February for about a month of initial training, academics, and simulators to start the F-35 course. And I'm in the VOQs. They sound fancy, but they're not. Living with a microwave and a mini fridge. Okay, who lives in the dorms? A few of you. Who lives in, what is it, 381, Chief? Who lives in the dorms where all they have is a microwave? I feel your pain. All right, I really do. And oh, by the way, we're trying to fix that. So about a week into it of eating Hot Pockets and popcorn, I can't take it anymore. I go to the BX and I get myself a skillet, a little electric skillet, right? In a moment of desperation. And then I go to the BX. I'm sorry. Then I go to the commissary, and I need to get me some victuals, right? Because I need some food, some real food. And I'm standing in line at the checkout counter at the commissary, and I've still got my shepherd patches on, and because clearly I hadn't PCS'd in here yet. And there's an old retired guy that's bagging my groceries, and he looks at my patch, the 80th Flying Training Wing patch, and he goes, "I ain't never seen that patch before. Where are you from?" I go, "Well, I'm from Shepherd. I'm in the 80th Flying Training Wing and going through some training here, but I'll be moving here, in about a month or so." And he goes, "Oh yeah? Where are you going?" I go, I'm going into the 33rd. And he looks at me and goes, "Oh, what are you going to be a squadron commander?" I said, "Yes, I wish I was going to be a squadron commander, but I'm not. I'm going to be the new wing commander to the Nomads." I don't think he had any idea what the Nomads, who the Nomads were, but his eyes kind of get all bright, and he goes, "Oh, wing commander? That means you're going to get one of those luxury beach mansions on base to live in." And I stopped for a second because I had seen Colonel Pilch's house. It is not a luxury beach mansion. And I said, "Yeah, I think that option's available to me." And then he looks at me and goes, and Colonel, you get your own white top car." And I wanted to look at him and say, number one, the tops aren't white anymore, and number two, there's only about 3 places that I can drive that thing. One of them's here, but I'm not here for the house and I'm not here for the car. But what that short conversation with that guy generated for me is it kind of caged me. What am I here for? And that's what I'm here for. I'm here to make sure you all have what you need, the authority, the guidance, the policy, the resources, the support to execute that mission and that vision. So if you're not getting it, once again, I need to know about it, because that's my job. I'm not out there on the line with you all every day doing what you do better than everybody else, okay? I'm here to help you. All right, next slide. XO. Okay, so real quickly, kind of here where I see us going. Number one, stay the course. We've done some fantastic things. You all have done some fantastic things over the course of the last few years with regards specifically to the F-35 and also inside of the ABM world and the Intel world as well. There is no doubt in my mind that the U.S. Air Force would not have been able to declare initial operational capability for the F-35 without the efforts that were on your backs and your accomplishments. No doubt in my mind. They would have gotten there sooner. We would have gotten there sooner or later, but it wouldn't have happened last October. I'll tell you that. So stay the course. All right. I think the Navy says steady as she goes, right? Rudders and midship, something. Okay. Keep doing what you're doing. All right. You're doing it great. Secondly, more joint integration, and I'm not talking about knees and elbows, all right, and fingers. More and better integration, not only with our Navy and our Marine brothers and sisters, but across the board, okay? We work with shipmates every day. We have one soldier with us in the organization, so we're a little bit joint, but I think we can get better. You all see all the C models that that are right down the line from you, all right? So we're going to try and start doing some more things with them. Number one, because it's the right thing to do. Number two, because we as an Air Force are never going to go to war by ourselves. So we're going to start moving in that direction, and both the group commanders are well aware of some things that we can do in order to make that happen. So we got to get more joint. And that's a big priority from our chief as well. Okay. And the last one is 33rd Fighter Wing transformation. Transformation is it's a fancy word for change, right? Change is one of the few constants in life, so you got to embrace it. We are going to transform in some way, shape, or form in the next year or two. How, I don't know yet, but it's going to happen. It's inevitable. You look at all those empty sunshades out there, I want them filled. You see extra space in the classrooms, I want people in those classrooms. The 337th ACS down the beach at Tyndall has excess capacity. They've realigned how they do things, some syllabus modifications and some reorganization of their structure. They've got excess capacity. I want more students. Okay, the world of 5th Gen is rapidly evolving. I'll tell you that right now. It is changing the way that we think and execute as a nation with all the services. So things are happening really fast. And over the next couple of years, there's no doubt in my mind that in some way, shape, or form, we're going to transform. So what does that mean to you? I just need you to be ready for it. Okay? And when it happens, find ways to execute the way you've always executed, even though things look a little bit different. And if you got a better way of doing things, make sure somebody knows about it. Okay? Some of the best ideas start from the bottom and work their way up, not from my level and down. I'll tell you that. My brain's too old. Okay. So those are a few things I see on the horizon. There's obviously some TUIs and other things popping up, but those are the big ones. Okay. That's about all I have in transmit mode. I really want to generally open it up to questions if anybody has them. You sure? Nothing? Okay. I ask you just to remember one more thing. You all were not sent here by accident. The Navy and the Air Force were not having bad days when they made you nomads. You're here for a reason. This is where you were meant to be for however long you're here. Okay? So embrace that. I'm proud, I'm happy to be on this journey with you, and I'm looking forward to the next few months and next year. That is all I have. Y'all have a great weekend. Be safe. Memorial Day's coming up. I look forward to seeing you at the Beach Bash. You kind of met my family by proxy. Bring your families out to the Beach Bash. I'd like to meet them and get to know them as well. Okay? Chief, anything else? All right, gang. Carry on. Have a great weekend.